If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 18th, 2024. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a directed energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that when Trump visited Biden at the White House, Trump's Bluetooth MAC address was obtained, which will be used to target Trump with a directed energy weapon. J.D. Vance will also die on December 18th or soon after, and Congress will vote to make Kamala Harris a temporary president. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. On December 24th, 2024, she will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. It is predicted that on December 25th, Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. After Kamala Harris's predicted plane crash on December 24th and Joe Biden's predicted stroke on December 25th, it is predicted that on December 26th, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as the vice president, and then Biden will step down. Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. On January 12th, 2025, Michelle Obama will step down, and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. His public inauguration ceremony will be on January 20th, 2025. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on January 28th. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. Alternatively, it could also be that the symbolic beginning to the new pandemic will be on April 1st, 2025, and that on April 20th, 2025, martial law will be declared because of the new outbreak. It is predicted that on June 9th, the day after the rapture, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons after Damascus, Syria is destroyed with a nuclear weapon the day before June 9th. And it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, The historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2026. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead 4 minutes. Hello, welcome. It is predicted that President Donald Trump will die on December 18th, 2024. As we can see here, this email documents that the prediction is being made ahead of time. The date that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. December 14th revealed adding 1+1 days. The star player in the Navy-Army game that Trump attended was player number 11. He scored the first touchdown on a 1-yard run, and it was in the first quarter, which also hinted at 1-1. There was one interception in the game, which is symbolic of the turning over of political power to the blue team after the predicted death of Trump's death. And the one interception was caught by player number 1 in the first quarter when the score was 7-0. And videos on this channel explain how Trump is a type for Joshua in the Bible, which is symbolized by the number 7. This 1+1 days from December 14th to December 16th is also following a 1+1 days from December 12th. As I will explain, the signs on December 12th, when it was announced that Trump had been named Person of the Year by Time magazine for the second time, on the same day that he rang the opening bell on Wall Street near Ground Zero, where 2 planes struck 2 towers on 9/11, indicated or revealed adding 2 days to December 12th. And so from December 12th, which I will talk about in this video, we received the signs that indicated adding 2 days to get December 14th, which was the day of the Army-Navy game, which revealed adding 1+1 days or 2 days to get December 16th. December 16th was another step in the trail of signs leading to Trump's predicted death 2 days later on December 18th, which is why on December 16th there was a school shooting in which the shooter killed 2 people. And the call into 911 was made by a second grader. The 2 people who were killed were a student and a teacher, which pointed to the predicted death of the elder Trump and his younger vice president, J.D. Vance, who has learned from Trump. There is much more to this that is explained in the J.D. Vance video on this channel. And so, from the day that Trump rang the opening bell on Wall Street near Ground Zero, where 2 planes struck 2 towers, when at the same time Time magazine announced that Trump had been named Person of the Year for a second time. It is 2 + 2 + 2 days to the date on which it is predicted that the 2 leader men, Trump and Vance, will die. This is astounding because it was through the 9/11 events in Lower Manhattan near Wall Street that God pointed to President George Washington, who was inaugurated on Wall Street, and George Washington was born on the date 2/22, which is the prophetic reason why Trump is predicted to die 2 + 2 + 2 days after he was named the Person of the Year for a second time near where 2 planes struck 2 towers in God's warning of judgment and destruction for the nation on 9/11. This is also the prophetic reason why Trump is predicted to die before his second presidency 2 days after 2 people were killed when the emergency call was made to 911 9/11 by a second grader. Hello, welcome. It is predicted that President Donald Trump will die on December 18th, 2024. As we can see here, this email documents that the prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. That said, the prediction that Donald Trump would die, or rather I should say God has been communicating that President Trump would die from a heart attack since late 2019, as far as I'm aware. Well, actually, there were signs in retrospect that came before that. Anyway, the point is that for many years, it has been communicated in God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, which is only being explained on this channel, that Trump would die and that it would obviously therefore be consequential, but it was not fathomed how consequential it would in fact be. Trump's death will lead to the rise of the Antichrist. Trump will be replaced by Kamala Harris, who then is predicted to die in a plane crash on December 24th. And then Michelle Obama and Barack Obama will become the presidents. Anyway, to the subject of this video, I'm going to read some of the amazing information that God has demonstrated through his big picture of signs that point to, with these stunning connections, to December 18th, 2024, for the date it is predicted that Donald Trump will die. This email is documenting the prediction that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 18th. In the middle of the night, last night, it occurred to me that December 18th will be 45 days after the election of Vance. By the way, to say before we get going here, there were a couple of other dates just prior to this that God was also pointing to. And this is how it works. It's a big picture of signs that are interconnected, and none of the signs can be properly or fully understood without their connections and context with the other prophetic signs. And it's an interconnected web, and so God was, for example, pointing to December 12th and December 14th and December 16th, prior to pointing to December 18th. It's amazing. Long story short, the first one, the December 12th date, which there are other videos on this channel that make this prediction that President Trump will die on December 12th, and the prophetic signs that occurred on December 12th confirm the analysis to be 100% correct. If you don't get that, you don't understand this channel, okay? I'll be very clear here. This is how it works. It wasn't wrong, quote unquote. And for example, the signs we received were Time magazine announcing that Trump was the person of the year for the second time. This is right before, of course, his second presidency begins. He was named president or person of the year for the second time, while at the same time that he was ringing the opening bell. In other words, he was ringing the opening bell, and behind him in the backdrop was the cover of Time magazine. And he rang the bell on Wall Street. Well, in God's signs, Trump is a type for Joshua, who led the Israelites around the walls of security before they collapsed in God's judgment. And Trump rang the bell on Wall Street, which is near Ground Zero, where the two planes struck the two towers. And through the events of 9/11, God pointed to George Washington, who was inaugurated on Wall Street. And George Washington was born on the date 2/22. Now, much more regarding all of this is explained in other channels, but this is why, other videos, and this is why Trump was named Person of the Year for the second time, right near where the two planes struck the two towers on the date 12/12, 2 + 2 + 2 days before it is predicted that Trump will die on December 18th, which gets us to the subject of this video. Now, in the middle of the night, last night, it occurred to me that 12/18 will be 45 days after the election of Trump and Vance. Trump being the 45th president. Vance, the name, is equal to 45 in simple English gematria. The number 45 is extremely prophetic in God's signs, and I explained that in other videos. In fact, I'll just say this, actually, because I just mentioned the 222. one of the main reasons for the prophetic significance of the number 45 is that the inverse of it is 0.222. Sorry, 0.0222. In other words, God is embedded within the number 45, the number 222, which again is the number that symbolizes Washington, who God pointed to through the events of 9/11, the big warning of judgment for America, to repent and turn back to God or else judgment and destruction. Well, anyway, the reason this occurred to me is because, according to what I understand, if Trump's death occurs after December 17th, which is when the electors vote in their state legislatures, Vance must die also. Okay, so if Kamala Harris is relevant and Obama is to become the president again and the Antichrist, okay? In other words, this can't happen. Kamala Harris's plane crash, if she does crash, will be irrelevant unless Trump and Vance die beforehand, right? After which, according to the 20th Amendment, the House, the Congress, will vote for a temporary president, which I believe they will then vote for Kamala Harris, and then she will die in a plane crash. Okay, so that's why Trump and Vance must die. Actually, that's two people, by the way. And again, this is 2 + 2 + 2 days after the signs involving the number 2, as I just explained. Okay, so now Vance is equal to 45, and December 18th is 45 days after Vance and the 45th president were elected, the president and vice president. Okay, all right. Now, upon realizing that December 18th is 45 days after the election of the 45th president and Vance, whose name equals 45, I wondered if there is a date that is the 18th of the month that might be confirmation, and immediately the date 4/18, April 18th in 2008, came to mind. That was the day of the Mount Carmel earthquake, which, as explained in the Absolute Must Watch 2 Witnesses write-up and video, was a prophetic sign that identifies Trump as one of the 2 witnesses who are symbolized by Elijah. Okay, now that's another story. Many of you are like, what is going on here at this point? And I don't blame you, but it is true. And when the prediction comes to pass that Trump will die on December 18th, it will prove what I just said. And that's all I'm going to say right now, because it would take 2 hours to explain it again. It's in another video. Okay, and also in the prophecy in the book of Revelation, the 2 witnesses are murdered. I then mentally calculated that April 18th, 2008, the date of the Mount Carmel earthquake, the strongest earthquake in Illinois history, the state that Obama is from, is exactly 200 months. And by the way, that was during his rise, during the primaries, or rather on his way to becoming the nominee, I should say. Okay, and so I mentally calculated that April 18th, 2008 is exactly 200 months before December 18th, 2024. And I realized that 200 is 4 times 50 months, which is astounding beyond words, because one of the ways in which Trump is a type for Elijah, and is proven to be so, is Elijah defeated 450 false prophets of Baal in 1 Kings. Okay, in 1 Kings chapter 18, Elijah challenges and defeats the false prophets of Baal, and there were 450 of them, which is why Trump is the 45th president. But this Mount Carmel earthquake, because that's where the prophets were defeated, on the top of Mount Carmel, this Mount Carmel earthquake, which is an Elijah sign, is exactly 4 times 50 months, which hints at 450 false prophets before the date it is predicted that Trump will die. How is it that Trump and Vance will both be killed on the same day? I am not clear. But actually, it could also be that Vance is killed after the 18th, but before the 24th and Harris's predicted plane crash. They don't have to be on the same day, but anyway. But it occurred, but it could be, okay, so I don't know how they will be killed at the same time, but it could be the reason why 2 people were killed in the school shooting on December 16th. These 2 deaths are another sign involving the number 2. 12/16 is 2 days before it is predicted that Trump will die and Vance will die on December 18th, 2 men. The call to 9/11 in the school shooting was received right before 11 a.m. It was made by the second grader, another 2, and it was this call to 911 was received right before 11 a.m., 3 minutes before, which is why the media says it was made at 11 a.m., which also hints at 1 + 1 days from December 16th to December 18th. I would not be surprised if the 2 deaths are both men, because at this time it's not clear the identities of the people that were killed in the shooting, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were both men. However, one was a teenager student, and the other was a teacher. This would hint at Trump, the elder, and Vance, the younger of the 2, who has learned from Trump. This Christian school shooting was exactly 90 weeks after 3 9-year-olds were killed in the Christian school shooting in the 4 × 4th state, which hints at the 44th president, who will enforce the mark of the Antichrist, and mass shootings are symbolic of SHOTs, which are the mark of the Antichrist. The things that come out of guns and go into people are symbolic of the things that come out of things and go into people. The Christian school shooting on December 16th was also 630 days after 3 60-somethings were killed in the same Christian school shooting in Tennessee. So the 3 60-somethings, along with the other students, the kids, hints at the 630 days, which is the equivalent of 90 weeks. That's amazing. And also, God pairs the numbers 9 and 44 together to confirm his signs and connections. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter as the Bible says is required. And this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And if we think about it, one simple way in which God would provide a second witness for us is through pairing certain numbers together, such as 9 and 44. And I know this because I've been studying his big picture of signs from morning until night from more than full-time hours for 7 years. And that's because the 44th president was inaugurated in 2009. And also 630 and 360-somethings hits at 666, 3 6s, the number of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy, the 44th president, the 4 × 4th state. The shooting on December 16th was also 7 years and 77 days, which hints at Joshua, who is a type for Trump, or rather the other way around. And that's because Joshua led the Israelites around the walls of security once per day for 7 days. And then on the 7th day, they marched around 7 times while blowing 7 trumpets. It was a 7 and then a 7 × 7. And that's why 7 years and 77 days from this shooting on December 16th, it was after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history that was in Las Vegas on the Day of Atonement. The shooting from the hotel into the music festival. And with that shooting on the Day of Atonement in 2017 marked a symbolic beginning of the 7 years of prophetic signs, which coincided with Trump, because Trump became the president in 2017 is one of a number of symbolic beginnings of 7 years. And the 7 years in Daniel chapter 9, if you know what I'm talking about, are only symbolic, and we are already at the end of the 7 years. It's followed by an 8th year, this principle of 7th followed by an 8th in the Bible. And the 8th year itself is also symbolic. It will be a 9, but anyway, that's why Trump will die at the age of 78. But the 8th year will actually be 2 years, and there's more reason for knowing that, and that's another story which I'll explain, and I have explained in other videos, okay? So anyway, that's why this shooting, which was a Trump sign, was 7 years and 77 days after the other deadliest shooting in mass history, which was the beginning of a 7 years period of Bible prophecy, okay? Trump signs. The shooting on December 16th was on the 40 plus 40th anniversary, as in the 44th president, anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, the German Nazis' last major offensive battle, which Churchill called, quote, America's greatest battle of the war, unquote. In other words, this is very highly symbolic of America. On the anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, the current German chancellor lost a no confidence vote in the German parliament. What a coincidence that occurred on this day, making it confirmation that it is a prophetic sign, this anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, which was symbolic of God having lost confidence in his Christian nation because it occurred on the day of the shooting at the Christian school. And this is the reason for the Christian school shooting on the anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, which was a battle involving guns and shots, etc. Chancellor Scholz, as in Chancellor Palpatine, which is an Antichrist figure that God is using in his signs, hosted the 44th president. By the way, the actor who portrays Chancellor Palpatine was born in 1944, hosted the 44th president in Berlin when he gave a talk to 1,700 people. God pairs 17 and 44 together. 99 plus ninth prime number of days, in other words, 108 prime number of days, which is 200 and something days, I forget, before December 16th, when this Chancellor Scholz had a no confidence vote. Okay, so from the day that Chancellor Scholz hosted the Antichrist 44th president in Berlin, and by the way, Berlin is very prophetic, and that's why Obama continues to show up there to make speeches. It's the seat of Satan. The temple of Pergamum in the Bible is said to be by Jesus the seat of Satan, and it is housed in the museum in Berlin. And so anyway, this day that Chancellor Scholz hosted the 44th president in Berlin, and when he gave a 1,700 people talk, was 99 plus ninth prime number of days before December 16th and the no confidence vote for this same chancellor. 108 is also 36 plus 36 plus 36, and God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. And 36 hints at 666, the number of the Antichrist. It's 3 sixes, and it is also 6 times 6, and also 2 times 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6, and also the 36th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 36th row is 666, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 36 equals 666. The name Trump is a German name, and Trump was born 77 weeks and 7 days after the Battle of the Bulge began, which confirms that this is a Trump sign, the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, additionally, Donald Trump is equal to 888 in English gematria. Trump is equal to 88 in simple English gematria, and these signs that pointed to Trump occurred on the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. These signs that pointed to Trump, which is equivalent to 88 on the 80th anniversary, are 8 days before Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash in the 8 plus 8 plus 8th state. Trump is a type for King Jehu in the Bible, who sent 80 men into the temple of Baal to slaughter the prophets of Baal, which is why 80 men were arrested after the events in America's Temple of Democracy on the 6th day of the first month, the oldest being an 80-year-old veteran, and 80 members of the House voted against the shoplifted referendum results. God uses extremes and records for his signs, and this school shooting is noted by the media for being the 83rd school shooting of 2024, surpassing last year's total. 83 hints at 3 8s and 888, which is the equivalent of Donald J. Trump in English gematria. 83 is the 23rd prime number. 1 teenage student died and 1 teacher died in the 23rd prime number of school shootings, and this hints at 1123, which is the 188th prime number, and God uses 188 frequently in his signs to point to H188 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance, which is the word that means woe, ! Used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. 23 also hints at 2 times 3, and Trump's predicted death on 12/18, December 18th, which will be a woe, will be 2 times 3 days after 3 times 2 days also, after Time named Trump Person of the Year for the second time while he rang the opening bell on Wall Street near where 2 planes struck 2 towers. That's 3 2s, which hints at 3 2s, which is astounding because through the events of 9/11, God pointed to President George Washington, who was born on the date 2/22. Furthermore, there are now 3 dates spaced 2 days apart, on which there were prophetic signs involving Trump that pointed to the number 2. Actually, I just explained at the beginning of the video. December 12th, December 14th, December 16th. On 12/12, Trump was named Person of the Year for the second time. On December 14th, the star player of the Army-Navy game that Trump attended with Vance was number 11, which hints at 1 plus 1 is 2, who scored the first touchdown of the game in the first quarter with a 1-yard run, which is another 1 and 1 equals 2, which was followed by the 1 interception of the game that was caught by player number 1 in the first quarter, which is another 1 and plus 1 equals 2. And there's a reason for that, which is explained in the absolute must-watch Soup Nazi Seinfeld prophecy video on this channel. On December 16th, 2 people were killed in the Christian school shooting, and the call into 911 was made by the second grader. December 18th, 2024 will be 7 times 7 days, which hints at Joshua, who's a type for Trump, or the other way around. And Trump, the orange man, donned an orange vest in his campaign rally on October 30th, 2024, which was 7 plus 7 plus 7 days after Tampa. By the way, he donned the orange vest because that was, if you recall, after Biden made the comment about people that follow Trump being garbage, and so Trump rode in a garbage truck. Anyway, the orange man donned an orange vest on October 30th, which was 7 times 7 days before it is predicted that Trump will die. And October 30th was also 7 plus 7 plus 7 days after Tampa dodged Hurricane Milton that blew the roof off of the Tropicana baseball stadium and passed over the orange-growing region of Florida on the same day that the Tropicana Hotel was demolished in Las Vegas in order to make way for a baseball stadium. Hurricane Milton, that hit the beaches of Florida, hinted at Hurricane Beryl earlier in July, and hinted at Milton Berle and Mickey Rooney, who attended the first ever baseball game at Dodgers Stadium, as in Tampa dodged Milton. Rooney was nominated for an Oscar for his role in the Francis Ford Coppola movie Black Beauty, about a boy and a horse on a beach after a storm. The making of Coppola's $45 million, as in the 45th president, and the movie is famous for having cost this amount, $45 million Apocalypse Now movie, was disrupted by a hurricane. And it was known for its disruptions in the making of the movie. Coppola's The Godfather is known for having scenes involving oranges, which precede the death of the character in the scene with the oranges, which is the reason for these connections, including Trump in an orange vest on Halloween, as in orange and black, the colors of Halloween, and Black Beauty, that precede the predicted death of the Orange Man on December 18th, 2024. This is merely scratching the surface of the reasons for how this prediction is known in advance. For more information, please visit Odyssey spelled ODYSEE.com, or rumble.com video channels named Harris Crash Prediction, and also visit the website TrumpPrediction.com. Now, I think there's some more here. Yes, there is. So, on this December 16th date that was pointed ahead of time by God, at the day of the shooting, etc., the Dow lost 110 points, which is a hint at Joshua, because in the Bible, Joshua died at the age of 110. And again, Joshua led the Hebrews around the wall 7 times while 7 priests blew trumpets. And again, this day is 7 times 7 days after the orange man donned an orange vest. Trump called into the Republican Gala in New York on December 16th, the same date, in the 11th state, after one of his campaign advisors collapsed, as in Joshua, the book of Joshua, when the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment. This campaign advisor collapsed on the stage of this gala in the 11th state. The advisor heads a consultancy firm named X Strategies. There were posts about this collapse on X. X is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist, because an X is also symbolic of chromosomes, which are altered and changed by the mark of the Antichrist, and also the inverse of the mark of the Antichrist described in the book of Ezekiel, the Tav mark in Paleo-Hebrew, was an X. This sign is in the 11th state, which hints at 110, and that's, by the way, why 110 stories collapsed on 9/11 in the 11th state. This sign in the 11th state, the collapse of this Trump-et advisor in the 11th state involving Trump, because Trump called in, and that was news. He called in to the gala to, talk about what had happened, and a man from X Strategies who collapsed hint at the collapse of Trump and the mark of the Antichrist, which will be one of the reasons why Trump will collapse. having taken the mark of the Antichrist. Trump called into the Republican gala in New York in the 11th state after one of his campaign advisors collapsed, which is Joshua symbolism, on the stage while speaking. The advisor heads a consultancy firm named X Strategies. I'm just reading the same thing again because I forgot to add this one last sentence I now recall. Okay, I'll just read it again anyway. So there were posts on X equals the mark. This is this sign in the 11th state, which is 110 in Joshua, involving Trump and a man from X Strategies who collapsed, hints at the collapse of Trump and the mark of the Antichrist. This sign in the 11th state hints at Trump's collapse 1 + 1 days later. And again, this sign was also 1 + 1 days after player number 11 scored the first touchdown of the game with a 1-yard run in the first quarter, etc., that I just explained. And again, this collapse in the 11th state is also on the same day as the one teacher and one student killed. On December 18th, 2024, the Dow lost 110 points, and it was the 8th straight day of losses, which hints at 11 times 8 equals 88. It also, by the way, hints at never mind, and that's Trump in simple English gematria. The media noted this 8th day of losses in a row and stated that it was the longest losing streak since 2018, a year ending in the number 8. The fall of Trump the fall of the Dow for the 8th straight day in a row is 8 days before it is predicted that Kamala Harris will fall in her plane in the 8 + 8 + 8th state. December 18th will be 133 days, which is the 44th semi-prime number, a number that is only divisible by 2 other prime numbers, and God uses these to point to the 44th president, for example. It'll be 133 days after Vance, J.D. Vance, confronted Harris at her plane. This is an amazing thing because God pointed to this August 7th date, 2024, ahead of time in regards to the trail of signs that is leading to the predicted death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash. And then on the day, which was not known until the day actually happened, Vance just happened to show up with his plane at the very time that Kamala Harris and her running mate Walz touched down at the same airport in Wisconsin. Okay? And by the way, the shooting on December 16th was the school shooting in Wisconsin. But anyway, that date was pointed to ahead of time, and I figured that it would mean something, and only now does it become clear how it really fits. Because it is now clear that Vance will also die in order for Kamala Harris to become the president before she will die in her plane. Which is why Vance confronted Kamala Harris on the tarmac as she disembarked her plane. It's amazing. That was an amazing sign because we expected a Kamala Harris plane sign on that day, and then that's what happened, right? Well, anyway, this day is a prophetic number of days before it is predicted that Trump and Vance will die. Wow. December 19th will be, and so if Vance dies the next day, it'll be 44 + 44 + 44 days after the sign. No, that's wrong. Sorry, that's a miscalculation. I apologize. All right. Let's see, is there anything else? Yes, this is an amazing one too. Prior to Operation Eagle Claw, Jimmy Carter's Secretary of Defense, which was 1980, by the way. Prior to Operation Eagle Claw, Jimmy Carter's Secretary of Defense, Cyrus Vance, resigned over his disapproval of the mission, which resulted, the mission, in an aviation disaster that killed 4 + 4 and injured 4 military servicemen. The name Cyrus hints at King Cyrus in Isaiah chapter 45, for which the 44th president is a type, which is explained in other videos. The name Vance is equal to 45 in simple English gematria. 11/4, the date 11/4, November 4th, hints at 11 times 4 equals 44. This 11/4 day in 2024, a major date for signs that was pointed to ahead of time, was the 45th anniversary of the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis that led to the attempt to rescue the hostages in Operation Eagle Claw that resulted in 4+4 deaths and 4 injured. The 45th president, a type for King Cyrus, and J.D. Vance, whose name equals 45, are predicted to die on December 18th, 2024, 44 days after the 45th anniversary of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, which was a part of Cyrus Vance resigning and 4+4 people being killed, and the beginning of the 444-day hostage crisis. Okay, yeah, that's amazing. For this 44 days connection to the date 11/4, that's amazing beyond words too. The call to 911 in the school shooting on December 16th was made by a second grader. The shooter killed 2 people. The call was made at 11 a.m. On 9/11, it was 2 planes, including Flight 11 with a crew of 11 people, that flew into 2 towers that looked like a giant 11 in the 11th state. And again, this was the day of the collapse of the Trump advisor in the 11th state. Yeah. Okay. This is amazing. Make sure you never stop sharing this video. Nothing compares to this video in terms of an evangelical tool. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or 2 that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.